Okay, hello everybody. We are now live on Facebook. So welcome to the Supercharge Your Future Dialogue. So today, my name is Leon. I'm one of the hosts together with Timothy as well,
Hi.
and we are going to talk about many different things throughout this whole Supercharge series lah. And today's topic, we are talking about overcoming adversities and fortifying your mind. So previously, with Timothy, we went ahead with many different other people as well, and we're talking about finances, how to build a company, how to start up a business, and things like that. And today we want to talk about one main topic that has been like roaming around in Singapore as well, about mental wellness and things like that. So today we have with us two wonderful coaches. Okay, we have Happy Coach Yuantai and also Malvin, who is a coherence coach. And these two people are, coaches in their own right who have been doing mindset shifts for a lot of people, right? So definitely we want them to share a bit more about some questions that we might have about mindset issues and how we can deal with it, especially during this COVID season. And I think a lot of people are needing this. And so without further ado, let me just introduce them for you. So Yuantai, do you want to go first to introduce yourself? Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone. This is Happy Coach Yuantai, and thanks Tim and Leon for inviting me and Supercharge your live show. And I'm very honored to be able to share. Hopefully, I'll share some of my experience tonight and to help you along in your journey to finding happiness in your life.
Yep, and at the end of it, we will have also them to introduce their own coaching programs and things like that, so they can help you understand further. So thank you for that, Yuan Tai. So next, Melvin, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hi everyone. I'm a Coherence coach and I'm actually 24 this year. So I help Zillennials, which is Gen Z and Millennials, both like under 30 years old, to really help them to find fulfillment, happiness, and find a lot of meaning in their life, especially during this season. Thank you, Tim and Leon, for Supercharge Your Future and as well as inviting me over here to talk about mental wellness, which is something really passionate about, and I believe something that it's many people need, especially during this time of the year.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Melvin. Yeah, a bit. I think your data a bit meh, but I think still can hear you. I think everyone still can hear you. Just now we were just joking a bit, like Melvin is somewhat in a toilet cubicle or something. But yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, hello, I'm there.
yeah. Okay. So anyway, Melvin is also a coherence coach, and definitely he will be introducing that as well. Yeah. So before we begin, we really want to let you guys know, especially those viewers who are viewing. I can see a few of you. If you guys have any questions at all, with regards to mental wellness, and even if you want to ask, Melvin and Yuantai any questions, please feel free to put it in the comment section. I believe we have already shared this across all the different platforms. So, just if you want to ask questions, you want to say hi, or you want to say anything at all, just post it in the comments. And if we manage to see it, through this whole interview, we'll definitely talk about it, and we'll also share some thoughts about it as well, if we can get to it as well. Okay, so without further ado, maybe I'll kickstart with the first question, and really ask Yuantai, right? Okay, Happy Coach Yuantai to kickstart first. Okay, so Yuantai, I
Yep.
mean, understanding that you have been a coach for quite some time, right? I mean, this question, Timothy will ask Melvin as well. But how did you choose to become a coach? What's your story behind why you started being a coach, and why do you want to be a coach? Maybe you can start with
Okay.
that.
Yeah, sure. So some of you may know I actually come from a different sector, totally different industry. So I was practicing as a retail pharmacist. I graduated from NUS 2009, got licensed 2010, and I was practicing for a good 7 years. So my very first exposure to coaching, career coaching or personal coaching, it was my last manager before I left the industry. She actually engaged a coach for me. At that point of time, I didn't really know what is life coaching all about, what's career coaching all about, and but my manager was very nice. She engaged a personal coach, and the coach actually walked me with her for a period of close to 1 year. And I realized that, coaching is actually something that everybody needs. Everybody needs at various stages of life. And it's not just about mentoring, it's not just about learning something from somebody, but it's about journeying life together with somebody. And that person will help you to see some of your blind spots and help you to work on some of the areas that you need work on, and most importantly help you to keep accountable and to keep on track. So that was my first exposure to coaching, and I realized that this is what I really want to do in life. It's really to have a very tangible impact. I mean, as a pharmacist, I was impacting life in a positive way as well, helping people to achieve better health outcomes. But as a life coach, I find that the aspect of addressing the mindset and helping people to retune or kind of fine-tune their mindset, or even for some people, it's a 280-degree shift. It's very amazing and very impactful. And this is my life mission, really to be able to impact life in a very tangible way. And a life coach, I believe, is one of the occupation that can really help to do that. So that's my first experience with life coaching, and from there on, I really took a great interest in it. And when I step out of employment, it was a personal decision to go into the self-employed business owner mode, and coaching was definitely one of my top choices, and that's why I chose to go into it. And it has been a very fulfilling. I won't say it's an easy journey. There's a lot of things that I need to unlearn and relearn, but it's a very fulfilling journey for me so far.
It's wonderful, man. I think you're one of the lucky ones where you actually had a manager who would engage somebody for you to help you do that. I don't know of many people who would do that for a staff. I mean, I've been in multiple positions. I don't think it's something that was ever a choice in a lot of corporates where we can engage somebody to help our staff. So I think you're probably one of the fortunate ones to be in that kind of environment where somebody could help you and experience coaching firsthand and what it can help you through, and in turn want to develop that sense of wanting to do that for other people as well. And so I think that's great that you're doing.
I'm very blessed. Because I think it's a changing mindset. 10 years ago, you ask what is coaching, most people just have the idea that it's a mentor or it's somebody giving you advice. But coaching is actually more than that. A life coach is someone who actually journeys through a certain phase of your life, helping you to shorten your learning curve, and most importantly, helping you to find some of the life goals, life directions, and help you to achieve some of life goals and life directions. And I think in recent years, more people have started to realize that there is a need for coaching, because there's a gap, there's a certain pain points that people want to address, and that alone cannot be achieved by having mentors. Having mentors good. Well, in life we need mentors, but having a life coach is really a game changer.
I agree. I think it's changed a lot in the last 5-10 years. The acceptance of something like a life coach, and the view that it's necessary as a part of your growth. And I think we've always been taught that you don't need to learn things through training, through understanding, facts, rather than having somebody to walk you through that journey. I think it really makes a lot of difference in a lot of things that you're doing. And being a life coach is that person that would follow you through that whole process. Let me throw this question to Malvin. Malvin, so being a coherence coach, I mean, it's also one aspect of life coaching, right?
Yes,
what made you want to move into that arena?
What made me want me to move into this whole life coaching, and I call myself Coherence coach, really is when I was younger. I have these mindset blocks that I have. When I was in primary 3, right, I have this award. I got an award for my studies when I was in primary 3. My maths wasn't very good. I was very, very poor in maths, and my teacher would make me stay back in class during recess. And what happens next was that I could hear all my friends during recess playing catching, people buying food, and all I am alone in the classroom, and I was staying back there, and I start to have this mindset and this thinking and thoughts that why am I not doing well enough? Why am I doing so badly? And all these thoughts keep coming in, and it just piles over and over again, and I couldn't get out of it. And when I was awarded this good progress award, naturally, right, because I stayed back after school and during recess to get to get tutored on maths by my maths teacher. And I went up on stage, I get the award, I came down, I went home, and then I actually cried to sleep. And then I asked myself, like, why am I getting it started from doing badly during maths lesson, and then now I am getting punished in front of the whole school. And what is wrong with me? So that was the thinking behind me. Of course, and as I grew older, I started to understand all these things, and people make a joke out of it, like you get an award and then you silly boy, you know, like you go and think that you got a punishment. But really, I see it as putting a lens in front of you, for example, a red color lens in front of you. So it's so real that even getting an award becomes a punishment for me. So that was the kind of mindset block that I have that is really limiting me, and which is something that only a life coach can remove. A certified life coach. I'm certified in NLP as well, so I understand how I have all these kind of blockage in my mind as well, and that's what really drives me to do life coaching as well as help people out to guide them out of this kind of situation where they have very very thick colored lenses and they cannot see other color other than red.
Actually, yeah, I mean, from what you said earlier, I think that's a very interesting point of view as well. I mean, for myself, I've been through my own bouts of depression during my teens as well, during JC days. So I totally understand where you're coming from in the sense that when you view that good progress award as something, like being punished in that sense for, not really doing well as compared to your peers and things like that. And I think when we are all within that whole situation, like for myself, in the whole depression stage as well, we tend to see the bad things in a lot of situations. And like what you say, red lenses, I totally agree. It really needs someone else, other interventions, or someone else to tell you that it isn't that case and how they can walk you through. I think one thing very important right now is, I think we all will agree, is empathy, right? I think empathy is something that we really should have and really should be to a lot of people. Now, COVID times and things like that. So I just want to ask Malvin, for example, COVID has made it so difficult for people in a lot of circumstance, and a lot of people's mindset has like become very cooked up, and like you said, red lens over their eyes. How has COVID, or even your own story progression, right, led you to realize that, hey, we should move out of this situation, and how has it made you relevant and resilient throughout this whole process?
Yeah, the thought of being resilient, if you're watching this and you feel the same way, right? I really feel you, because I think it's so important to really look at yourself. I would go as far as to say to look for somebody to talk to, but being there myself, I know that nobody is going to go, and if you are really at that stage and at that state, right, you won't really go and find someone to talk to, but really it's more of what you really need to do is to acknowledge that there is something going on inside you, and you want to change that state and actually look at yourself. And of course, during my journey, that was in primary 3, but after that in secondary school, as well as when I went to IT and I got GPA 4.0, I thought I was doing well. I got GPA 4 and I thought my results were good. But when I went to Polytechnic, and then my results at the start was 3.8, still good, and then it started to drop. And then although it's so high, right, for most people, I still feel that that state coming back to me. Right. And my whole life has been like that. I wasn't really that bad. But it's because of the circumstances and the things that I've put myself through, and being put through as well, that really makes exaggerates the whole feeling. And if you really ask me during this point of time, how to stay relevant, stay resilient, right? It's really to go back to the drawing board, go back to the fundamentals. I like to apply the Pareto principle and really focus in on the 20% that really matters, rather than focusing on the 80% that don't, which is maybe you feel like you need to read more books, watch more YouTube videos about happiness and things like that. Not that it's wrong, but what I realize at least is that the more you read these kind of things, the more confused you are, because now there is so many different angles to look at, and you're still very, very confused and very, very lost. So I would say to really focus in on the 20%, which is really look back into yourself. And I have a framework myself, which is the Coherence method, which is targeting 3 Ps, really built on positive relationships, your personal health, especially mental health, as well as your personal finance. Is the 3 Ps that really help you balance out your life. At least it did for me during my teenage years.
That's interesting. Three P's principle of coherence. Yuantai, just to throw that to you, in your experience in dealing with people, do you find a lot of people that struggle with things like, well, I would say mental health issues. So mental health issues have been, I think a lot of people like to keep that under wraps, but I think they're struggling to perform in their roles. They're struggling to deal with personal situations. I think a lot of people do struggle with that. And unfortunately, in recent weeks, we're seeing a lot of these things surface, right? Publicly in the press and all. But how would you talk to a person or coach a person who's dealing with some of these issues in terms of not being resilient enough or being affected by a lot of these things that are going on?
Yep. I think as Leon mentioned, during this COVID time, one of the things that most people they will struggle with is, some of my friends personally, they have lost their jobs or their businesses are badly affected. And like Malvin has mentioned, you focus on things that you can affect, you can have an influence over, and there are certain things that are out of control. Like for example, COVID is definitely out of control. That's one way. And I think another way I particularly like to address is the identity part, because a lot of people we build our identities on our achievements. We build our identities on our profession. We build our identities on our business, for example. And this is, in the long run, is not a healthy way to go about it. The identity, your self-identity, should be built upon your vision and your purpose. Because while we may run different businesses, we may have different professions, at the end of the day, all this to me is just a means to an end. But a lot of people see it as an end to itself. And so when their business fails or when they get retrenched, they lose their job, they will spiral down into this thing called depression. It goes down because their identity is lost. They anchored their identity on their jobs. They anchored their identity on their businesses. And the success in their jobs, their businesses will then affect their happiness, which is not the right way moving forward. And I myself I was also once in that position, so I fully understand that aspect of anchoring your identity on your jobs, on your success, on your business. And the moment we lose them, then we find ourselves very lost, and we lost our identity. So one of the ways where I help clients is I try to gradually shift them to find their self-identity, to find the self-identity in the right things, which is the purpose and fulfillment. Where do they eventually want to end up, and what do they eventually want to leave behind? Because face it, in life, we cannot live, the moment we go to heaven, we cannot bring our money, we cannot bring our trophies, we cannot bring our fame. All this doesn't matter once we move on and go to heaven. Yeah, but what we can leave behind is in a way what really matters. What is the impact that we want to create on the people around us? What's the impact that we want to leave behind? That is what really matters. And at the end of the day, if our self-identity is anchored in that, this is my purpose in life, and I'm very clear that this is my purpose in life, and being successful in in my career or being successful in my business, all these are just the steps that we take along the way. And not achieving success right now because of COVID, because of whatever has happened, because of situations that happen, doesn't mean that I'll then lose my self-identity, and it doesn't mean that I'll then have to be depressed and sad. Yeah, so this is one of the first steps that when I work with my clients, I make sure that their self-identity is anchored on the right things.
Yeah, but I hear you. I think it happens a lot. I think a lot of people anchor their self-worth and identity based on what they've achieved.
Yep.
Whether you've reached a certain level in your career, you're earning X amount of money, you've got a successful business. The reality is these are things that are very outward that people can see. And because people can see this, they sort of exacerbate the whole thing because, I can see that you're successful, and it suddenly becomes the thing. Right? Wow, you're a fantastic businessman, you run a company, you're a fantastic CEO. Wow, you reach regional level, you've done very well for yourself. And having come from that level and drop down to the ground, I understand that perfectly. We built our whole lives to go up the corporate ladder, and at some point in time when it disappears, you're really lost and you really don't know what to do because that's all you put your effort into, right? And so it's I can understand that. So it's recalibrating and understanding what is it that's in your life more than just that position or that company that you're building. What is it that in essence you're going to do to leave a legacy behind, right? That's more or less what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So building something for the future, building something that will be remembered, for discovering your purpose, where you want to put your efforts into to build, and that's really good. That's really something that I think a lot of people should be focusing on. I know we get distracted by a lot of things that get thrown at us, unfortunately. Right, so the money is nice, the position looks very good, and we always have that joke, right? When we were working in corporate, that so you can give me a lowest level position and pay me the same amount of money, I'm very happy, right? It never happened, but that's the way, that's the way people think, and it really shows the different types of priorities that people have. Just to come back to talking about things like mental health issues, I think we've seen a lot in the news recently, and frankly, it's quite concerning. And I personally, I feel that it's reached perhaps a tipping point, right? The stresses of, in this case, it was a lot of students. So education system, the stresses of probably being at home too much, of COVID, pandemic, lack of social interactions, and all of that has culminated in the fact that people are having trouble handling the stress of life. What's your take on the situation that not just the teens? No, I think generally across our population, we are all struggling to a certain extent with dealing with all these issues, right? Sometimes being at home too much. When we all had to go to office, everybody was like, wow, if only we could stay at home, and work from home, it would be so nice. And then after 1 year of working from home, everybody's like, when can we go back to office? Then I got kids screaming in the background, and everybody's clashing at home, fighting for Wi-Fi, and suddenly it became like mayhem at home, and everybody wants to go back to work. So what would be your advice to people dealing with these kinds of situations? Because this is very real. I think all families struggle to different extents. People deal with it in different ways, and people have different tolerance for it, right? So if you were talking to a group of people, what would be your advice as to how they would handle something like this? Yuantai, maybe start with you.
Yeah, sure. The first thing to handling this situation is you have to be aware. So you have to be aware that you yourself are possibly suffering from a burnout. So for example, if you are a parent, like Timothy is, there are signs that you realize that you could be possibly facing a burnout. Like for example, you suddenly lose your cool, lose your temper when your children did something wrong to irritate you, or they didn't do their homework, for example, or they got in trouble in school or outside of school. And the moment you find that I suddenly losing my temper very easily, I'm very harsh towards my family members or even friends, that I'm not usually like that. This is one of the sign that possibly that something is fraying at the edges. Yeah, and it could mean that okay, you need to start to have some, you need to block out some time for yourself to recalibrate, to relax, to rest, and to recover, to recharge. Yeah, because none of us are robots. We are not made that way. We will need some time off by ourselves to do something that we can feel completely relaxed or happy. And this is a self-care part, and self-awareness is very essential, because a lot of us are so busy at work, day-to-day stuff, could be family, could be work and all that, and we are just so caught up in the things, and we become like automated. Like the moment we wake up, okay, this is what I need to do, this I need to send my kids to school, I need to run this errand, run that errand, and meet clients here and there. And then we forget that actually the most important thing is really self-care, really taking care of ourselves. And like Malvin has its framework of making sure that the whole person is healthy, not just the emotional state, the physical state, and everything. I believe in that as well. So we need to take care of ourselves. We need to make sure that we have enough downtime for ourselves, and we look after ourselves in terms of emotions, in terms of our physical health, and in terms of our relationships as well. We need to look after, but most importantly, we need to be self-aware, and that's we need to do stock take, regular stock take, just like we need to go for health checkups, regular stock take. We need to have set aside time and schedule it in to do some self-reflection. Where am I right now at this current moment? Or what has the past 1 week or past 1 month or the past few months been for me, and what have I done, and what could I do better, and what am I proud of for doing? Yeah, so we need to have this stock take time and make sure that we keep a pulse on our own health, in terms of emotions, in terms of physical, in terms of everything. And then we need to be deliberate about it, because if we don't be deliberate about taking care of ourselves, really we cannot look after other people. And some of us, we have dependence on us. We look after people. We are responsible for their well-being. So it is even more pertinent for us to look after ourselves. Like recently, I just had a conversation with a caregiver who looks after an elderly parent who is having a bit of dementia. So it is very difficult for that person to sometimes want to take some time off for herself. But it is very crucial. I told her that it's very crucial that she needs to take good care of herself even before she looks after her elderly parent. And even dementia cases, sometimes it can be quite difficult and quite tricky to handle. Yeah, so sometimes if we don't look after ourselves, it's very hard for us to look after our people, and there'll be signs that definitely we can watch out for, like losing losing our temper, or just behaving out of the ordinary. That these are signs that we are straying, and we really need to sit down and let's take some time out. We need to look after ourselves first, and that's very important.
I think sometimes it's a bit when you're caught up in the situations, and it becomes very overwhelming, and it's very hard to work piles on, the children are screaming, wife nagging at you, or both are equally stressed with work, and the kids are giving trouble, and that whole situation becomes overwhelming. And just to try to step away is in theory sounds very good, but in practicality there's always a struggle. How do you step away from the situation where everything's going to it's going to hell to a certain extent, right? And there's while you would want to step away from it, work that never gets done, children need to study for the exams, they need to complete their work, they need to that routine becomes overwhelming, and the cycle is relentless, right? And it's very hard to break that cycle, right? Even though you really, really want to. And I think a lot of people do know that they need to take a break. A lot of people do know that I need to step away from that situation sometimes, because if not, I'll lose my mind. But just practically, it's very difficult. Like the example you said. I mean, if you're taking care of a patient with dementia, it's like a 24/7 kind of job, right? You're basically on call all the time, and you really want to step away. It's so difficult. I remember when my wife's grandma was getting older and she needed like constant care, and they had a helper to take care of it. Sometimes the helper wants to step away to go toilet, also got problem, right? To get a meal also got problem, because every time she steps away, suddenly she'll ring the bell and call for her. So it's that difficult, right? To even, go toilet also got problem, though. I mean, let alone take time out for yourself. So it's the reality is it sometimes is very hard to step away, and even though I think a lot of people know that it's good to take a break. I mean, that's why we used to take breaks in the form of taking holidays, lah. We take a short holiday here, take a short holiday there.
I got miss holidays.
People. Now we never see the aeroplane in don't know when. I don't even remember what an aeroplane looks like. So, so we try to create it in different ways. And I know like this whole pandemic has made it very tough for everybody to kind of get on with life and that kind of routine that we're used to. So there's a lot of shifting and there's a lot of adjustment for everyone. Malvin, what's your take on this whole situation and how people can help themselves in a certain sense? Yeah.
Actually,
really
Malvin. Sorry, maybe I want to add on also. Like, maybe for yourself, right? Because we are your coherence coach for Zillennials. Maybe because Timothy and Yuantai talk more about those working adults and how they face parents and things like that. I think importantly, how do you and your clients and your generation of people, how do they face such things, and how how should they prepare for, like, let's say, the working life or uni life? Yeah.
My views are very different because obviously I'm on a different age, but I think the most important thing is to see that these such mental wellness and like Yuantai said it, self-care triumphs no matter what age you are. I think if you are my client, you're watching this right now, right? We saw of you are, right? And I sent you the link already. I think the most important thing is to see that it's really something that is not because I'm born into such a bad situation, right? I'm born so young and I have to face such challenges. But really, you hear it from Yuantai and Timothy that this is something that is affecting people of all ages. And I think no matter what age you are at, right, it's important to have a set of framework that you can really follow and really rely on, and to focus on. If not, with the changes, I think since the start of the season, right, even before this whole pandemic, there's already big changes coming up. We heard of the term VUCA, where we are very vulnerable, uncertain, things are very complex and ambiguous. And back then we are just talking about, how do we do digitalization, integration of the digital world into our lives. And the whole pandemic came along, and we have seen in matter of days, companies have digitalized just like that. And that is the speed of things that are changing. And the most important thing here, I think, whether you are young or old, is really to adapt. And if you cannot adapt, you will just be left behind. But the problem here is, if you don't know who you are and you try to adapt, you will start to change yourself. And if you are not careful, you'll start to lose yourself along the way as well. Which is why, again, we see so many cases of people getting so stressed, going to school and doing funny things, and with weapons and things like that. And it's very real, and it's really very something that is worthwhile to talk about. And more than ever, we really need to start to rediscover ourselves. And I think it's important to build your own fort, your own palace, or you want to call it headquarters or anything like that, to really have a central control center for your life. And I think that is very important. If you think of it like building a city, right, you need to have that central, like the city hall, or like the central place where everything connects to, and have a central government and ruling and whatever. But for everyone watching, right, it's the same for you. You need to have this set of rules, like your own set of rules, so that even when adaptation takes place and you adapt, you don't change who you are, and go along with the flow and then lose yourself in a way. So that's really my take, and how I would navigate coming forward in this fast changing world.
So do you find that, I know this is a generalization, do you find younger people adapt better and are able to flow a bit better with the changes that are coming forth? I mean, with things like digitalization, I know, okay, again,
Yeah.
generalization, a lot of older folks have problems with digitalization and adapting to all these changes because they're used to operating certain ways for the last 20, 30 years, and all this is new.
I hear that.
Yeah, but do you find that even younger people have? It's very interesting. Okay, so I was in I did a training course, right? So I did ACLP, and I realized that not being young doesn't mean you know a lot about the technical stuff in terms of digitalization. So in terms of you know, I mean, we always say the older people don't know how to use the computer properly, don't know how to progress. But I realized that some of the younger people are the same as well. They also struggle with using technology and computers. So I think it's a little bit of a misnomer that younger people are better at it. I think in a lot of sense,
I would say
they would also struggle with it, right?
Extent.
Yeah.
I would say to a certain extent that it's true. I mean, when you're born with, during my time I didn't, but right now you can really see like the child is born and you can literally see them playing with iPads, right? So I think that kind of that closure of that gap where people touch technology is getting lesser and lesser, whereby people are really the time, the age where people get in touch with internet and technology has become younger and younger, and to a certain extent that affects. But what we need to realize also is that because of this access to the internet, to the access to our technology, and the speed at which we are able to get answers, also means that we are overloaded with a lot of information. So because of this access, right, yes, we can navigate all this internet, we can go live, we can message a lot of people, we know this, we have a lot of know-hows. And because of this information, if we do not know how to distill the information, we do not know how to find, again, we go back to Pareto principle, we don't know how to find what's that 20% that is important to us, we are going to focus on 80%. And we are going to focus on all the wrong news because there's so many ways to receive information, and we just get overloaded. And again, if we are not careful, we go into the wrong, we go down a rabbit hole where we explore the wrong things that we thought we liked at the start, but isn't what we are looking for, and wasting a lot of time and a lot of burnout. And it's just information coming from all over the place, and you need to know how to navigate all this information that you get out there.
Yeah, definitely. I totally hear you on that as well, because I think like what Timothy mentioned, right? I mean, probably it is true, is a misnomer. And I mean, being where I was in corporate as well, there are people who really don't know how to use Excel, don't know how to use a lot of things. It's normal. It's normal. I think it goes for every single generation, and I'm sure Yuantai also feels the same. But like what Malvin say, with the advent of technology, I can see my brother, my sister, they started out with that, like iPad and everything. I don't even have iPad. What pet? No need pet. That kind of thing. So it's very different. I think things have changed, but I agree with his Pareto principle as well. There's too much information out there, and that stresses a lot of people. I feel it stresses all the different generations. I think even for ourselves, when we want to find certain information, there's like people telling us one thing, one telling us this thing. Investing, for example, right? Investing is good, investing is bad. So many different kinds of situations, and I think we need to really distill that. And I totally agree with what Malvin says, and which is very interesting. He talks about having that city hall for yourself, that palace, and I think everyone should have that and really start to look into themselves first, lah. And I totally hear both what Malvin and Yuantai has said about that. So before we move on, let's talk about for Yuantai, right? In terms of all these mental health issues, and things like that. What are actionable steps that we can do in order to make ourselves more in line with ourselves personally, and like are there like any frameworks you have, or any step-by-step method that you teach your clients? Could you share that with us, and maybe we can move on to Malvin as well for that?
Yep, sure. So I have this happy framework, and just give you some of what it means. So H actually stands for HAPPY. Nice. And H actually stands for helpfulness. Helpfulness. So if we can be helpful, if we can find some ways to help other people, then that's one way of being able to take the attention off ourselves. Because we are all born to think that we are at the center of the universe. So we are all born to think that way, so myself included. So we all think that the world kind of revolves around us. When we look at a young baby, the young baby is born selfish. He or she will look up for his or her interests. And even at a young age, you can see that sometimes the child is able to know how to get attention of people, especially the parents, the father and the mother, and find some ways to get what he wants out of the mom and dad. So even as a young child, we are born to think that way. But if we can train ourselves to be helpful towards other people, I always look out for the needs of other people. So it comes back to what you brought up, empathy. The empathy. This will actually help us in terms of not being so self-centered and being able to look out for the needs of other people, empathize with other people. And this helps us in terms of not being so self-centered. And the world doesn't revolve around us, and it will actually help us to feel contentment and find fulfillment more easily. So this is a letter H that I always tell my clients. Train yourself, reframe yourself, and look out for other people, look out for the needs of other people. How can you help other people? How can your business help other people? How can your expertise help other people? So this is number one. And then A stands for abundance, which is having a mindset of abundance, which means that we don't just think that everything is finite, but actually resources are infinite. We have infinite amount of riches, we have infinite amount of talent, there's infinite amount of things that you can do with the amount of time and money, the resources that you have. There are always ways that you can multiply. So if we have trained ourselves to live a mindset, a lifestyle, it is a lifestyle of abundance, it can actually help you on your way to finding happiness. And that's a second letter that I often train my clients, my coaches. Think of the mindset, have a mindset of abundance. Don't just think of competing with other people, competing with peers, but always look out for angles where you can collaborate with people and you can collaborate with different businesses, and then find a win-win situation or even a win-win-win situation. And that's the aim. That's the aim of the game. The PPY, I'll leave it in suspense to the end. Okay, let Melvin share.
PPY, okay, I'll put the
PPY.
Connect with Yuantai to find out what the PPY is.
You can just visit my website. I actually have a guide for that. Happy guide.
It's like a teaser, and then he leaves you hanging. Melvin, what about you?
Yeah, I think what I want to share today is really actionable, implementable things that you can do right now. I think I've shared my framework, the 3P framework. Again, is positive relationships, personal health, and personal finance. And I think these three things are circling around each other. And in the middle is really about who you are yourself, and which can be done through a lot of methods. I'm this DISC certified as well, this, and I can be able to help you with your personality if you need. And I'm an NLP certified as well. And I think the most important thing here today is really what can you do next, right? I think we like Leon said, I've mentioned about the city hall. You really need your own central control center for yourself, right? That kind of idea is to create your own rule book so that you play by your rules, no matter how you adapt to the world, so that you don't lose yourself. And for myself, I have a set of rules and routines as well. I create mine by journaling. And this journal is really the control center where I look at my accomplishments, my challenges, the things I'm grateful for, and my goals, which is what I do every day, where I really write down what are the things that I've accomplished today, and what are the challenges that came up with it, and what did I learn from it, very important, and what am I grateful for, so that I can get more of it if I'm grateful for it, and what are my goals moving forward for tomorrow. And this is essentially the rule book for you, on how, and then the next question is, right, what's next? So what if I have a journal and I write down every day? I previously I used the idea of building a city, and I used to build mine by running around, building multiple structures at the same time, because I feel like I for some reason I'm very young and I feel like I don't have enough time. I'm rushing towards 30 years old and I feel old, and
Thanks,
I
Malvin.
constantly
What do you
feel, yeah, that's a mental block in itself. And I try to build multiple structures at the same time. And is it even possible? Is the question that people really ask. And what I highly recommend instead is plan the mega city that you want, right? That you are trying to build, and then choose a mega structure that will really make you proud. And then we'll start there, by splitting the structure into different sections and taking imagine playing with Legos, right? Taking one Lego brick at a time and really build section by section till you complete that one mega structure before moving on to the next thing. Rather than always running around, and then you have to choose between where to allocate your resources. In which case, is always time. And you feel like you are very stretched out. Like you have this thing that you want to, big thing that you want to do. You have also that big thing that you want to do, and everything is pulling you everywhere, and you don't have time. You keep thinking that you don't have time. So that is really focusing on that one mega structure that you want to build first. Build it, and then move on to the next. Imagine playing with Legos, trying to build multiple things. It's just not possible. We are humans, like Yuantai say, we need rest. We need to prevent burnout, and we are just not built that way to do so many things at the same time. And
That's very interesting,
this
right?
is essentially, yeah,
So you're
this is
talking about
essentially how I plan.
yeah. So you're talking about visioning. So your visioning is, your vision is big, right? So you're visioning big, and you are breaking it down into bite sizes, right? It's like
Yes.
steps to achieve that mega vision that you have. Right? And then obviously when you achieve that goal, then you move to the next one. Am I getting it right?
Yes, correct. So the more important thing is, how does this even relate to our real life? Like, yeah, it's a very good story. Wow, big vision, but how do you even actually implement it, right? I think that's really the question that people will ask. And I think to answer that is to look at it in a very systematic way. And essentially, it boils down to the one Lego brick at a time. You build section by section, which is your 1 hour time blocks every day. That you are awake every single hour. What do you do? So this is exactly how I plan my time, and I look at the rest of the year, right? So this is week 33, if you don't know, and we are going very near towards week 52 already. So this is week 33, and moving towards week 52, which is the last week of the year, right? What are the things that I want to achieve in the next 19 weeks? Yeah, and then choose one mega goal that I want to achieve that will really make me proud. It can be anything from business-wise to your personal health, whether you want to lose weight, gain more strength, or whatever. and really set the first weekly goal. So today is Monday, and really set that first goal towards the end of the week, and really to build that first section, and every day just hour by hour, just aim to achieve that weekly goals until that mega goal is achieved, and that's how I would really do it. And really, we talk about big visions and things like that. It's good to think about it, to visualize, but at the end of the day, we need to see. If I ask you what do you do from this timing to this timing, and you say I don't know, I see how, and your whole day you just I don't know, I see how, then your whole week also I don't know, I see how, see next week and then next month, and things just don't get done.
Everything also,
Yeah.
I don't know. I see how. Yeah, it's true. And anyway, we
True.
have questions. We have questions on the comments, so I'm gonna post the questions up. I think both Malvin and Yuantai, there's a question for you. So kickstart with Daniel's question. So Daniel is asking Malvin, what is the most common challenge you face as a coherence coach? Yeah, Malvin, you want to take that?
Yeah, thank you, Daniel, for the question. What is the most common challenge, right? I face as a coherence coach really is people think that I think the most important thing, we talk about time management, and because that's how I really look at it. And a lot of people have, especially young people, they have a lot of ideas and they want to implement a lot of different things. And at the end of the day, they find that they are not going anywhere, and yet they feel like everything is so important to me. And as a coherence coach, I also feel that whatever people are doing is very important, especially my clients, right? They want to start their business, they want to do well in their studies, because most of my clients are still studying. And all these things, I have a challenge always, is that there is so many things that you want to do and everything is so important. So where do you even start? I think that's the question people always have. And again, I will look at it at what is the most important thing for you. You really have to see what's important, what's not important, and whether something, if you are already doing it, then most probably it's important to you, and it's something that you feel that is urgent. But if it's something that is not urgent but very important to you, for example, for a young person still studying and want to start a business, and they feel like it's not that urgent, like I need to study, right? Then it's a good time to really think about when you want to start, and start scheduling it in your daily schedule, like how I do it, and hour by hour, or even that week, what do you want to achieve to start that, so that can achieve the important things. And for me, that's really a challenge I help my clients with, to help them to see that time is on your side.
Yep, true. Indeed. Yeah, I think that's a really key concern throughout life, lah. I think everyone deals with time management issues some point in their life, and I totally agree with what you say. You know, when you talk about there's only 52 weeks, and then if you don't know, you really don't know, and then if you keep don't knowing, you don't know all the way, then 1 year passed like that, really forever don't know. Yeah, it definitely is something. I think even it's a good habit to have as someone who starts out, you know, even in uni and wherever, army or whatever, you know, and even in work. So definitely, thank you for that.
I do want to add something though. I do want to add though, like although I said I have a lot of strategies, tips for you, but at the end of the day, everyone is built different. I think it's something that is very important to say, that everyone is built different. You have to accept yourself to work through things, instead of trying to change who you are and lose yourself in that process. And because the world is ever changing, to adapt to the world, you need to know yourself first. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, just last one more question for Yuantai. So Queenie is asking, what if we want to help someone, right, but they don't want to help themselves? I think, okay, yeah, this is quite an important question. I think a lot of people, sometimes, if let's say, if I remember myself being depressed, sometimes I don't need help. I will be more myself in my own shell, and then I'll be like, don't disturb me and things like that. So how will you tackle this, Yuantai?
The short answer to that is, if someone really rejects your help, it is very hard to help that person. Yeah, because in terms of if we talk about coaching wise, it's actually a two-way thing. So that person has to be open and receptive to feedback. Of course, I understand that some people, for whatever reasons or stages of their life, they cannot let go of certain past hurt, past trauma. And this it might be a bit more difficult to tackle this. So the short answer to that is you need to give them space for them to recover. Yeah, but at the same time, just be a friend. I think the best thing that we can do for someone sometimes is just being present. We don't have to offer any advice, and just offer our ears, just offer our shoulders for them to lean upon, our ears if they want to speak, or just being there, just being present for them. I think that in itself is already enough for people. Yeah, but if they really need help and you realize that they are not open and receptive to it, sometimes it's very difficult to force your way, and almost impossible. It's almost impossible for you to do any intervention. Yeah, the only the only intervention you can make sure is that they don't do something drastic like taking their own lives or something like that. That's about the only thing that you make sure that they don't do something drastic like that. But other than that, it's very difficult. Yeah, and I've come across questions and clients who ask me, or friends of potential clients, they ask me, how can I help someone who rejects the help? My answer to that is you need to give them space. Just be their friend. Just make sure that you're there. They don't do anything drastic, and give them space to recover and to get over and to let go or whatever things that they need to let go. And then they will be ready. When they start to, can you help me? Or this is a sign that they are ready for some intervention. But otherwise, if they don't want help, it's impossible. Yeah, it's very impossible to do any intervention.
Yeah. To a certain extent, I agree with Yuantai. I think it's hard to force your way through. I think you need to also assess how serious the situation is. Like Yuantai mentioned, if it's a really life and death situation, right? For example, if they're suicidal, I think in those kind of cases you have no choice but to act, right? So those are situations where you really need to force your way through. But in other situations, you try to be a friend to them. I would suggest, if you are not the person that can help them, perhaps suggest somebody else, right? For example, a professional, right? So if they have issues with depression or other situations that anxiety that they're dealing with, and you feel that you cannot help them or they're not receptive to you being the person that they will want to open up to, then suggest perhaps somebody who's professional, who would be able to walk you through that process. Are you open? And then you can always go with them and attend. Be by their side. Don't be there, be present, like Yuantai said, and walk them through the process. But get somebody else who's probably a bit more trained to handle that particular situation, to be able to deal with it. So that's an option as well if really the situation warrants. Again, it's quite open-ended, so it really the extent of the issues that a person helps, that the person is facing. But as far as possible, I think you want to avoid being judgmental, avoid passing comments like, don't worry, you'll pass, it will go through, no problem.
Or things like, I understand what you're feeling. So
yeah, because it's not always...
We don't.
Yeah, it's not always possible to understand what they're going through as well.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, Daniel made a good point, right? So some people don't want to be helped, and you need to respect that. And then yes, like I said, you got to assess. So be with them, be a friend to them, and make sure that you're accessible at the point in time that they may want to open up, right? So it may take a while, and they may feel that you're there, you're by their side, you're not judgmental, and you are available for them when they really need help. And maybe they will open up to you at some point in time. At the end of the day, you want to journey with them, but do look out for the signs, I guess. Right. So if it gets a bit more serious, then I really think that you should step in and get them help.
On that note, I think during this period of time, we do need to be a bit more deliberate in catching up with some of our friends, especially those that we have not keep in contact for a while. Just a simple text or a simple phone call, or simple asking out for lunch or dinner, just to make sure that they are okay. I think this is something that we need to be deliberate about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you so much, Yuantai and Malvin, for coming on our show. and joining us and sharing your views. I think it was really very useful and to hear from you guys. And I think a lot of people, whoever's listening, really benefited it. Just one last thing before we go. If people want to connect with you, how would they connect with you? Yuantai, maybe you start first.
Two ways. You can go to my website. It's happycoachyuantai.com, or you can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. You just type in Yuantai. You should be able to see me. Yeah, I'm quite visible on the Facebook.
His yellow
and LinkedIn.
T-shirt is quite visible.
Yeah.
Like you can always
Can't really see here, but yes.
his happy
You can
man
join me
T-shirt.
for hikes as well. I do hikes every week.
Yeah, so hiking is a great way, right? To connect with people, and it's a great way to hike away the blues.
Exercise and be happy.
Endorphins.
Endorphins. Happy hormones.
Endorphins are good. Malvin, what about you? If people want to connect with you, how would they be able to connect with you?
Yeah, just find me anywhere on Instagram. You can DM me on Facebook. Just send me a message. Malvin. It's with an A and TOK. Right. My name has is not very conventional. It's with an A and a K. Yeah. So really, if you find that whatever I shared today is helpful, and you find that you want someone to help you to implement all these things with your journaling, and how do you find more time for yourself, just hit me up on DM. If you come for a free consultation, I also give away Grab vouchers for you. So just DM me, and we'll have a chat, and at the end of it, I will give you a $5 voucher.
Wow,
Yes.
$5 leh. Okay,
Oh,
fine
$5.
already.
I will go and DM you later for the $5.
Okay.
From now on, you have to give away $5 voucher. Melvin spoil the market.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, thank you so much, Malvin and Yuantai. I think we've come to the end of the Supercharge dialogues, so we really want to thank people for also viewing this with us, those people who are in the comments, Daniel and Queenie, thank you for joining us as well. I see a few of you looking as well, didn't comment. It's okay. We are going to have this Supercharge dialogues with other people as well. So do feel free, other topics you can look out for, includes all these kind of things like parenting, finances, and things like that. And we'll definitely look into more together with Timothy and myself. And you can join us as well on the Supercharge Your Future page if you want to see more of these videos, and also Supercharge Your Future group. Okay, we do post things there as well, and have discussions there. So feel free to join us. And so that's basically the end of today.
And feel free to connect with Leon and myself on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, and wherever else we are all over the place. YouTube.
Our names are also quite unique lah, in that sense. So definitely TikTok haven't yet lah.
I have TikTok, but I have got one video.
I have lah. I got three videos, but yeah. Okay, so yeah, thank you guys for everything. We're gonna end today, and we'll see you guys on the next Supercharge Your Dialogue series. Your Future Dialogues. Okay, bye bye.
Okay, see you. Have a great night. See you.